Hi guys, I'm back and I just wanted to talk about the women in Jonas's life. So we're going to start with Mama Joyce. Oof, I think Joyce has been completely misunderstood by everyone. I don't think we can just talk about Joyce as the woman who stayed too long or the woman who couldn't let go. I honestly think that there are certain points that we should highlight about Joyce. I think at the beginning of the series, she was deeply invested not only in Jonas but the idea of what marriage represents. So I think she was holding on to her marriage and saying, okay, this is values. And I will also explain this as someone who finished the full series. So you then see how in the end um, Mpume explains each and every woman. So this is where I'll pick up on Joyce to say I think Joyce initially she had the emotional endurance, and then she got to a point where there was a loss of identity, where she didn't know who she was anymore. And then eventually she then gained her power back. So then now she realized her self-worth, and then she picked it up. But let's get a deep dive. So Joyce was fighting more than just a man. I feel like she was fighting for her life and the life that she built and the life that she believed she built. So that is why earlier on you see how she refused for the separation, how she planned for the 20-year wedding anniversary and renewal of their vows. I guess I don't think it was denial in simple sense. I think it was emotional survival. I feel like if the marriage had ended, then a part of her identity would have ended with it, you know. So I actually feel like what she was doing was a process. I feel like it was how she was processing her depression or how she was processing her life, what she thought was and what it had become. So I also find Joyce having power in resilience. And I've always heard this word about Zimbabweans. Sorry, I'll take you back because Sunyati, who wrote the book, is Zimbabwean. And there's the word that a lot of Zimbabweans are called by. Zimbabweans are resilient. Zimbabweans are resilient. Zimbabweans go through a lot, but then they're resilient. Like I also had I worked for an international company, and we had a lot of managing directors coming from different countries. And you would hear them saying, oh, Zimbabweans are so resilient. You know, at first I would take offense of it, but I actually feel like it, it talks about endurance, enduring in humiliation, enduring in betrayal. And this is Joyce. She endured in the humiliation, she endured in the secrecy, she endured in the betrayal, she endured in the emotional instability, she endured in also trying to protect her children, you know. And this mostly breaks a lot of people. This breaks a lot of people. So I feel like Joyce begins to confuse endurance with love, as if suffering no longer or suffering longer somehow proves a deeper commitment. I don't know, tell me how you feel, because this is exactly how I felt. You know, as a mother, I kind of feel like Joyce becomes the emotional anchor of the story, while Jonas represents chaos, absence, she becomes the one trying to absorb the impact of that chaos on the children. So she then, and I love this part because Joyce now has this protectiveness, which is consistent. Even when her life is collapsing, she tries to maintain some sense of stability for her children in the home. That obviously is constantly shifting because, I mean, each and every time she is, or Jonas is unleashing a beast. Like, hi, Jonasi. Ah, guys. But yes, I feel like I give the flowers to Joyce because she really is trying to maintain some sense of stability. I feel like her motherhood is also marked by contradiction in trying to preserve the marriage, and then she sometimes prolongs the instability her children are witnessing. You know, there were points where the children are like, Mama, how long are you gonna go through this? How long? And then there's a point in time where Menzi says, Mama, it's the same thing. He's just going to go and come back, and you're going to take him back. So you see how it was a little bit a contradiction because the kids were saying, how long? How long? We know what you're always just gonna take him back. Even though we've seen you collapse, even though we've seen you depressed, we've seen you not yourself, you know? So I feel like I feel like Joyce's character was very painful. She is not a perfect protector. She's a mother. And I mean, all mothers go through a lot. So she's just a mother trying to make impossible decisions in an emotionally unstable environment. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just go through this also. I feel like her role as an influencer adds another layer that makes her story even more complex. Because Joyce is not just living for her breakdown privately, she's managing it publicly. She is constantly performing stability, success, and control, even when her personal life is anything but stability, is nothing but stability. You know, that gap between image and reality becomes its own emotional burden. Like, I think we see it a lot with a lot of celebrities where what is happening in the house and what she publicly shows. She shows the flowers, she shows the shoes, she shows the gifts, she shows a whole completely different life than what is actually going in their home. Yeah. Yeah. And then the stronger she appears online, the more isolated she actually becomes in real life. So this dual existence, public perfection versus private pain, makes Joyce one of the most psychologically interesting character in the series, I must say. She's constantly negotiating between what is real and what must be shown, between who she is and who she is expected to be. What makes Joyce truly compelling, I feel like, however, this is not just her strength, but her evolution, because you then see how she evolves. She does not suddenly break free or transform overnight. You see how she tried to burn down the house. You see how she tried to poison Jonasin. You see then how finally she gets to infect him with HIV, but then using her cellmate. So her growth is slow, uneven, and deeply emotional. Like, she moves from denial to endurance to exhaustion and eventually towards self awareness. Even then, her healing is not clean. She still carries anger. She still carries that grief. She still carries emotional residue from everything she has endured. I mean, who wouldn't? Like, I feel like we even have been traumatized by Joyce. I feel like we also are living Joyce. Even though it's not happening to us, I feel like we are living it. So I feel like Joyce reflects a very real kind of human experience. She has the ability to survive something emotionally destructive for far too long and still finds her way. However imperfect, we are saying it's imperfect to begin choosing. She did not choose herself. But in the end, I feel like Joyce is not just a wife in a broken marriage. She's a woman shaped by it, scarred by it, and slowly learning that her identity does not have to end where her relationship does. So I feel like she won. I feel like Joyce won. Many women are in these marriages similar to Joyce's. It may not be as extreme as Jonas's situation, but the emotional roller coaster is often the same. Carrying the weight alone and working tirelessly to build the future you thought you were both committed to. So I'm not judging Joyce, but I think we all, or I'll just say many of us, have been in her shoes either as a child, as a friend, as a sister, or even as a wife. I feel like we have all been in this. Okay, most women have been in this. Coming also from a family of divorced parents, a family of infidelity. I feel like someone has just heard of the story somehow, even as a friend, coming from uh, a point where you're a friend where your friend is his parents are divorced or whatnot. I just feel like, yeah, at the end of the day, the people in real life don't have the same ending, right? It's really important, I think, for women to know that you can leave this kind of marriage. I mean, yes, the series has a happy ending for the wife who endured. Unfortunately, life does not always work that way. In fact, it rarely ends like the series. In most cases, men win. In most cases, the wife ends up messed up or in jail for murder. So let's not romanticize infidelity. You know, I feel like she's fighting for her 20 years, and unfortunately 20 years meant fighting for that evil. Imagine someone comes and takes what you built for 20 years. Like, what the hell? What the hell? But thank you so much for watching. This is just me talking about Joyce. Tell me what you think about it. I'm just giving my perspective and I'm speaking from a layman's point of view. I am not a critic. I'm just someone who I actually want to call it traumatized by the series in a very good way. I loved it. I watched it in 2 days and it was amazing. Every episode was amazing. So tell me what you think about it. I loved it. Bye.